This is WLOX News Now at 6. Your news starts right now.
Officer McKeithen, we thank you for your 24 years of dedicated service. You will be greatly missed, but never forgotten. Rest in peace, sir.
A compassionate, caring professional who had the ability to connect with people. He was a good cop.
That God and God alone decides when we leave this earth, no one else. A misguided thug with a gun gets no credit. No credit for Robert's life at all.
Today, the end of watch for slain Biloxi police officer Robert McKeithen. Biloxi's mayor, Biloxi Police Department's chief of police, family, friends, and strangers all mourning together today and remembering the man, a husband, father, and public servant who served our community for nearly a quarter of a century. We'll have more coverage of Officer McKeithen's funeral services and burial later in our newscast. First tonight, a weekend of severe weather leaves rivers flooded and roads closed across South Mississippi. We go now live to Ray Price to an area hit especially hard on Old Highway 49 in Stone County.
Hey, Hugh. Well, this exact spot that I'm in right now yesterday was completely covered in water, and you couldn't even pass down it. When I was up on the bridge yesterday morning for my live hits, I could see a couple of people who were trying to drive down it, but police had to come and grab them because, you know, it was just impassable. But just a short distance up Highway 49 is the Red Creek Bridge and Red Creek. Now, that section of Highway 49 was actually shut down because water had come above Highway 49, and there were some concerns that the water would get too high over the bridge or even cause some damage to the bridge. Now, today, some more MDOT engineers were out surveying the area and trying to see what was happening with the bridge. It is back open as of now, and I spoke with Kelly Castleberry. He's the District 6 engineer for this part of Mississippi, and he says that they performed an inspection today. So far, everything looks good, and additional inspections will be performed tomorrow now that the velocity has subsided. So they're planning on getting things back into normal here. Much of the water in Stone County has started to recede and go back down. Roads are back open, but a few of the people that I spoke with who live in this county say that they've seen flooding before, but nothing on this scale, this type of degree. They said that this is unbelievable. They were stopping when I was up on Highway 26 not too long ago just to stop and take pictures of where the creek is still coming up over some parts of the road. Now, you can drive on it, but it's just so high that they couldn't believe they've seen any type of flooding action like this. I'll have more for you tonight with their reaction and what's going to happen in the days coming from the flooding here in Stone County. Live on Old Highway 49, Ray Price, WLOX News Now.
In Harrison County, emergency management has closed several major roadways due to rising river levels. Joyce Philippe joins us live from Pass Christian with the latest details.
Right now, you can see the Wolf River is rushing over Menge Avenue here in Harrison County, and the water is creeping closer to where I'm standing by the minute. And that's why emergency officials have closed the intersection of Menge Avenue and Cuevas de Lao Road further up the hill, and they're making sure that people do not get to this area near Menge Avenue where the bridge is almost covered by Wolf River rising. I spoke with the Harrison County Emergency Management Director, who said that the river has reached about 14 feet high and is expected to rise up until tomorrow. And right now, the main thoroughfares like Menge Avenue and Bells Ferry Road are currently covered by water and closed. Now, Henderson Avenue is still open, but if you're not able to get to that, then the alternative is to go up to I-10 and go east or west. And we are expecting some damage to homes and roads further into the week, according to Rupert Lacey, the Harrison County Emergency Management Director. He says that most of the road damage happens not when the water is running over the roads, but when it's receding. That drainage effect that pulls down on the asphalt is when we're expected to see the most damage, so we'll have to keep an eye on that as it continues further into the week. Live in Harrison County, Joyce Philippe, WLOX News Now.
Well, the sun has been shining today, but as you can see there from the live shots, many on the coast are still dealing with major issues due to river flooding. For the very latest on these flooding conditions, let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Carrie Duncan.
That's right. Now, the Wolf River at Bells Ferry, the watershed is basically up in Pearl River County. That's where so much rain fell. That's why we're seeing the flooding along the Wolf River at Bells Ferry. Right now at 14 feet, which is above flood stage in the moderate area, but it's expected to crest at 1 a.m. tonight at 15.5 feet. So then we'll start to see the Wolf River falling, but at 15.5 feet, you see flooding on Magnolia Drive, Minge Avenue, and Bells Ferry Road, and then water over the Minge Avenue Bridge. So we are certainly going to continue to see the river on the rise. Also, we have that flood warning for the Wolf River at Landon, now at 29 feet, but it's falling. Now this one can be much higher, and different gauges at different points, of course, measure. So you can't take it and compare it to 8 feet at Bells Ferry and say, oh my gosh, well that's even worse flooding. But the flooding is on Cable Bridge Road right now. So that's all along the Wolf River in Harrison County. And then as we move in closer around Red Creek and Jones Mill, that's where we start to see the Wolf River at Bells Ferry is going to be in a major flood stage tonight. So we have major flooding along the Wolf River, moderate flooding still along the Bowley Creek. Those creeks are falling also along the Biloxi and Pearl Rivers, minor flooding along the Pascagoula River. I'll have more on those rivers, but you can also see a full report on the rivers at WLOX.com, and then we'll have a look at your serene forecast coming up.
An emotional goodbye to a fallen Biloxi police officer. Family, friends, fellow officers, and public officials gathered to pay their final respects to Robert McKeithen.
This day is not about how Robert died. This is a celebration of how Robert lived. Robert was kind and easy to talk to.
He was well-liked, a compassionate, caring professional who had the ability to connect with people. He was a good cop.
Our shift would do Sunday dinners on our working weekends, and Mac was our Popeye's chicken guy. This was our time to celebrate as a shift, as we always do on Sunday. He mentioned one of the reasons he kept coming to work was because we laughed and interacted so much, and he loved it and being a part of it.
He loved all of us, so if there's one thing I wanted everyone to remember about my stepdad, Robert, was to remember his selfless, giving love for others.
Robert is still alive within me because of his love. And again, as I look before me, his love is spread and is still alive within all of us. Although we may never see Robert again, the presence of safety he created surrounds me and my family today, as we are surrounded by extraordinary men and women just like him that would give their lives to protect others.
God bless you, God bless Biloxi, and God bless the memory of Robert McKeithen.
Now, no matter the uniform color, badge number, or logo, the Brotherhood in Blue was out in full force to honor Robert McKeithen today. Many of the law enforcement officials were lucky enough to know Officer McKeithen personally. Ashley Pack was one of them, and she fondly remembers the good times they shared.
My first stint on patrol was on night shift with Mac and his shift, and I remember coming in to briefing, and he was the person we picked on every night at briefing, talking about how, you know, he was around policing when dinosaurs were around and things like that, and it always kept, you know, lighting the mood for briefing and really got us going for the night shift.
Pack's visit to the funeral was actually paid for by Bellevue's Police Department, where she currently serves. They also flew down 2 other officers to show their support. Now, support for Officer McKeithen stretching far and wide, hearing touching words and heartfelt goodbyes from some more visitors to Biloxi come to pay their respects today.
The news for South Mississippi continues. WLOX News Now at 6.
Sponsored in high definition exclusively by MGCCC. Gulf Coast Through Life at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College.
Our community and a nation pausing to bid farewell to fallen Biloxi police officer Robert McKeithen. Coast neighbors and visitors from as far away as Michigan lined the funeral processional to pay final respects to an officer that most never knew. Chet Landry reports.
As hundreds of law enforcement units led the procession for Officer Robert McKeithen's final ride, bystanders lined the streets of Biloxi in a show of support and solidarity. As fellow brother in blue, retired police officer Johnny Nairn was with his family on the processional route.
I came out here to support all my brothers, and when I found out that that he was taken out for no reason, then I had to do something.
Nairn said that support from family, friends, and community greatly outweighs the risk of wearing the badge.
He risked his life every day for the city of Biloxi. I mean, he had his heart and soul into it, and he gave it all for it. I mean, it can be anytime, any place. And I just couldn't see me anywhere else but here on this day.
It was hard to miss the outpouring of support from law enforcement agencies from all over the country. As car after car and motor unit after motor unit drove past, Gulf Park Estates Assistant Fire Chief Tarzan Treadway said that it's important for first responders from all agencies to come together in times like these.
Whenever we lose somebody, especially under circumstances like this, it's really important for us all to go out, show each other support, and to show the community as well that we're supporting each other as best we can.
A show of unity, support, and camaraderie that will last long after the watch ends. In Biloxi, Chet Landry, WLOX News Now.
The 12-mile procession was an impressive and moving sight. Take a look at this. Hundreds of police motorcycles leading the motorcade as they traveled east on Interstate 10 from the church. Drivers in the westbound lanes pulling over, a gesture of honor and respect for Officer McKeithen. And along the route, an American flag and wreath draped in a black ribbon hanging from a crane overlooking I-10. The people at Bailiff's Welding and Ironworks placed this tribute as a thank you to the fallen police officer. And this, a thank you from the students at D'Iberville Middle School. Along the route from the church to the cemetery, the message, D'Iberville Middle School loves Officer McKeithen. Many school children in D'Iberville and Biloxi dressed in blue to honor the man who wore badge 126. Flooding concerns coast-wide tonight. Residents forced to turn around as roads are impassable. How things look in Jackson County. Plus,
we will have the latest on all of those river stages coming up right after the break. But first, a look at your tides for tonight into tomorrow. That tidal range only a foot. And then a look at your marine forecast for tonight.
Now, WLOX First Alert Weather with Chief Meteorologist Carrie Duncan.
Good evening, South Mississippi. We do have a lot of river activity to talk about. The Wolf River at Bells Ferry continuing to rise, and it will rise tonight into that major category. It is expected to crest at 15.5 feet at the Bells Ferry gauge. So that's something we're watching, and it is making some roads impassable. Good news along the West Bowley Creek. It is continuing to fall, still in moderate flood stage, but it should be by really tomorrow evening back into just the action phase. It's 18 feet now. The East Bowley Creek really continuing to fall, not an issue. And then we check out the Biloxi River near Lyman in that minor flood stage. So all of these lines trending downward. That is a good sign. The Biloxi River near Wortham. This is an actual reading. It's not done by a gauge. That's why we don't have the current stage at this time. And looking at the Pearl River near Pearl River, we are going to watch this one rise, but we're getting it into the moderate stage, which again, is somewhat typical for our spring rains along the Pearl River. The Pearl River near Bogalusa will continue rising and stay within that minor flood stage. Pascagoula near Grand Ferry also staying in the minor stage, but it will continue to rise. So folks along the river, you are going to be watching that rise over the next day or so, and it should be that current reading at 16.5 feet. So it's going to go about another half a foot. Pascagoula River near Merrill is going to also continue rising into that minor stage, and it should crest at 24 feet, that current reading 21.35. So Chuticabuff River, great news. It is well below flood, and it is going to continue to fall. As we take a look at what's happening with that weather on the go, don't forget, download that WLOX weather app, keeping you in the loop. No rain expected. It is going to be nice. Temperatures are going to be chilly in the morning, though. You're looking at upper 50s to low 60s in South Mississippi. Look at how gorgeous. High pressure keeping the wet weather away, and that is good news. It's exactly what we need right now, is a week to dry out, and it looks like we're going to be getting that. Sunset at 7:41, sunrise tomorrow morning at 6:03. So the sunrise getting earlier, sunset getting later. We know summer is knocking on the doorstep, and you'll see that with the 7-day forecast. Temperatures right now into the 70s and low 80s. Dew points very comfortable. Nothing going on with the WLOX First Alert radar. It looks good as we look out, that frontal system pushing east. High pressure taking control. Notice again, our temperatures are going to be into the mid and upper 50s in our interior locations, low 60s closer to the coast, and then highs tomorrow and really for the next few days. We'll see them in the upper 70s to low and mid 80s. And as we check out the weekend, we see a slight chance for rain. You also notice those temperatures starting to trend upward. Also, our overnight lows starting to rise a little bit, so we are going to be expecting to see those temperatures going up overnight, and the humidity will return this weekend. So enjoy the low humidity while it lasts for the week.
Yeah, but we've earned a nice and clear week.
Oh, we sure have. Hopefully it will stay clear for the weekend too.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Carrie. A company looking to put down roots here in South Mississippi could bring hundreds of jobs, but not all residents are happy about it. The environmental concerns.
Tonight at 6:30.
Flooding across the state continues to destroy homes and property.
This whole community may be underwater. It's really tragic. Nothing anybody could have done to prevent it.
When federal aid may be available to help residents. The company looking to build a huge wood pellet processing plant in George County needs one more environmental permit in order to begin construction. There's a public hearing on that permit tomorrow night. George County leaders have been working to bring the pellet plant to the area since 2013. A company, Enviva, wants to turn empty land along Evanston Road and Mississippi 198 into a processing facility that would turn timber into pellets used for fuel that will be shipped to Asia. County leaders say the project would bring in close to 90 jobs at the plant and another 300 jobs connected to it. Some environmental groups have expressed concerns, though, about the impact the pellet plant could bring. The Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality will hold a public hearing tomorrow night. It starts at 7 o'clock at the George County Administration Building in Loosedale. Floodwaters are rising in Jackson County as residents near Highway 57 are forced to find alternate routes. This is Vestry Drive near 57. It's covered in water from recent rains. Crews are working on Red Creek Bridge and detouring drivers to Vestry, but they can't go too far. About a mile down the road, drivers are running into this. Residents say the floodwaters appear to be rising, so if you're out in this area, take an alternate route. Another check on tonight's forecast straight ahead. First, here's a live look at your evening traffic. This is Pass Road at Cowan, Lorraine, and Gulfport. Things looking pretty good right now.